Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome back to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. We are live on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio. Been a little bit of a week off, 4th of July last week, so I think we only did one episode. Took some time with family, and Skinny T was traveling a little bit, so it was nice, just a little 1 week. So back in the saddle right now, and then probably only one this week, and then we'll get back to our regular 2 episodes a week next week. But hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone had a fantastic 4th of July, celebrating this nation's birthday. And Skinny T, how you doing? How was your 4th of July?
Man, it was nice. I've been in LA for 6 years now, and I've got a friend with a pool in Pasadena, so that's where we spent our 4th of July. So it was really fantastic to have some barbecue, dip in the pool, stay cool. It was a good time.
Well, that friend is not me, and now I'm wondering which friend of yours lives near me in Pasadena with a pool. Have I met this friend?
I have 3 friends basically at each exit. So you're at Lake exit off the 210. Yeah. And we got the next one. I can't think of it, but that's another
or Los Robles,
something like that. Yeah, another couple of friends there, and then we got Will and Michelle who have the pool, and also Kevin and Jess live right off that exit as well. I think that's what's that exit right after there?
Are you going east or west?
I'm going east. They're going east, yeah.
East, so probably Allen or Hill.
Hill, yeah, something like that.
Have I met these friends with this so-called pool?
They were at the backyard party the other day.
Okay, all right. I didn't know they had a pool. I know you said like, oh, these friends live near you in Pasadena, but the pool was left out of the conversation. That's game changer if you have a pool, especially now with the summer heat. We were at a pool also, but I was at my sister-in-law's all the way in West Covina. I would much rather have stayed close to home in Pasadena, but it was great with the fam. There was like 15 nieces and nephews all running around with Mia in the pool, and I think we had fireworks for like 2 hours. My wife's family goes all out, gets like all the illegals, and there's a lot of fireworks. So it was good. I love 4th of July.
Yeah, I always have trouble sleeping because my neighborhood is a war zone on 4th of July. It goes until the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, Highland Park. What West Covina is like that. Where my wife's where my mother-in-law lives in Duarte is like a war zone. Pasadena is like never anything because they're super strict. But this year, for whatever reason, when we got back around 10 from West Covina, and there was like a lot of people lighting off fireworks. I don't know if they were like trying to stick it to the man or what, because usually there's nothing in Pasadena because they're so strict. So I was like, all right, fighting back, I guess. I am north of the 210, so I guess that's a little different. But anyway, we're talking Rams. We did our offensive position rankings last week. This week is defensive. Only 3 groups. We're doing defensive line. We've included edge rushers in the entire defensive line. We're doing basically one linebacker, Ernest Jones. Where does he rank? And then the entire secondary. So this will be fun. I think it'll be a little different offense. Obviously, we had very high marks for all positions. That's what the Rams invested in, not just in money, but also in free agency and kind of what their philosophy was. The draft, they did a little more on the defense, but obviously it's a younger, less experienced group. So probably not high as rankings, but we'll get into it. But before we do, show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. You get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. Gets you, as I just said, a 50% welcome bonus. So plenty of NFL futures on there. I always forget what the Stafford MVP odds are. We say it every time because we're telling you, throw some down on the Stafford MVP odds. I do know I looked yesterday because I do our USC show here on LAFB, the USC LAFB show. Miller Moss, for any SC fans out there, is plus 3,300 to win the Heisman. I'm for sure putting a cool $100 on that because, if Lincoln Riley's track record said anything, 3 Heisman winners. Miller Moss, I think, has shown some stuff. I think he's good for that, but looks like you found it. What are Stafford's MVP odds?
Plus 2,000. So better chances than Miller Moss. So
heck yeah. $100 to win. What is that? $100 to win $2,000?
I think that's how that works. I'm not a betting man. You have much
for this segment, you are. So go to betonline.ag, promo code BELIEVE. Tell them the guys at the Rams Skinny sent you. All right. Which group do you want to start with, my man? D-line, Ernest Jones, or the secondary?
Let's start up front. Let's go with the brand new look, no AD defensive line.
Okay, so I'm going to let you start, but I'll talk. I feel like, I hope not. We try to be very fair and unbiased. We do obviously make things positive, contrary to what some comments think. But I feel like we might get a little little hate for this because I'm have a feeling we are probably going to have our defensive line fairly low. But I'm curious where yours are, but I'll get to mine. But I mean, we just got to be
Yeah.
obvious, right? No AD,
Yep.
tons of youth, no Coach Henderson, no Raheem Morris. So you have loss of coaching experience, loss of leadership, loss of all world Hall of Fame talent, and a lot of youth. That doesn't mean they're going to be terrible. I'm basically setting the precedent. Don't bring the pitchforks for us, depending where we get them. But hopefully, I set you up, and you're going to have them like top 10 and shock the world. Where do you got them?
I have them just outside the top 10.
Okay, you're nicer than me.
Yeah, and I was pretty nice because I'm going. It's hard because there's so many questions and unknowns with this group.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe Turner, Byron Young, both had great seasons last year. Racked up a good amount of sacks, a good amount of pressures, but that was all predicated by playing next to, as you said, all world, Aaron Donald. So
Yeah.
that changes everything. That changes the calculus for both of those guys. And then you've got two brand new guys, and then that kind of mystery fifth spot along the front. So you got Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are probably going to get a lot of the starting reps. But then who's that other guy? Is Michael Hoyt going to move back inside? Is he cramming his face with pasta right now, trying to put back on that 30, 40 pounds that he lost to move to the outside? We don't know. We don't know. And we don't know if Braden Fisk and Jared Verse are going to work out. We don't know what the other two guys, Turner and it's all up in the air. But I put them at 11. I put them at 11 because I'm going to bet on their ceiling. I'm going to bet this is, if everything goes exactly right and all four of those guys are clicking. So I have them behind the Jets, the 49ers, the Eagles, the Browns, Cowboys, Las Vegas, the Texans, the Chiefs, the Packers, the Pats, Giants, and Titans. So that's 11, I think, if I did my math correctly.
Yeah, sounds good enough to me.
Yeah.
Well, great. I love it. I mean, I think I feel like I'm usually the optimist. So good for you. Like, well done. 11th. I like that. I'm very excited about this group. I really am. I think there's a lot, super high ceiling. As we've talked many times, I don't need to belabor it. I thought they killed the draft with Verse and Fisk. For me, if I'm doing it like as a 5, which I don't think all 5 of these guys will play at the same time, but I'm basically, I'm doing probably Bobby Brown, Braden Fisk kind of in your interior, with Verse, or I should say Bobby Brown, Fisk, and why am I drawing a blank right now? Bobby Brown, Fisk, and Kobe Turner. There we go. With Young and Verse on the outsides. Those are kind of, if I'm doing my 5, that's what I was looking at it as. But I'm putting them at like 20. And not because I don't think the ceiling is high, not because I don't love the talent, not because Turner and Young didn't prove anything last year, but just everything that's at the top with all the losses. We have yet to see this line without Aaron Donald. I mean, it's been since 2014? It's been a decade of always offenses game planning for Aaron Donald specifically, which allows other guys to progress, eat, have less, have really favorable matchups. We have never seen it outside of injuries here and there. So does that unknown, along with 2 rookies, as I've said all along, as much as I love rookies, I'm always going to rate them below, starting talent or starting guys that have played in the league before. So I have them I think actually I put them at 21 total, and I'm not going to list all 20, but in that range, I think the Washington Commanders, even though they gave up 2 of their best players, they still have Deron Payne. They still have Jonathan Allen. They drafted Johnny Newton, who we both liked a lot in this draft. So I think there's a little more meat there that has been proven. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Vita Vea, absolute beast. Kalijah Kancey, who was a great rookie just not too long ago. And, they added Randy Gregory and others. And so that's the kind of range I'm looking at, like the Giants, the Seahawks right there with what they did last year in the draft, and also adding Byron Murphy this year. So I think I have the Rams ahead of the Chargers. I don't know if people would agree with that, but I think the Chargers, Bosa and Mac are great, but they're aging. They can't stay healthy. And then they have no meat in the interior. So I definitely put the Rams ahead of them. But yeah, I think that 20 between 18 and 22 is kind of where I'd put the Rams D line. Is that too harsh?
It's so hard because everything's a question mark. Even going over to the coaching side of things, we got brand new Chris Shula there. You mentioned Raheem Morris left, Eric Henderson left. You got Give Smith in there. I mean, he coached the Chargers defensive line last year, which was not great. maybe not the worst part of their defense, but not a great part of their defense. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there is such a huge variance between their ceiling and their floor, and I think you're probably shooting more for the floor. And even last year, with all of those pieces still in there, they were kind of the 20th ranked defense in the league, kind of depending on which metrics you really look at, but they're kind of in that range. Losing AD, I mean, I know we keep hammering that, but
It's a big
it
deal.
is important. It's a big deal. He was the center of that defense, and you just strip away all of that institutional knowledge, all of that experience, and you're down to those four players have a combined experience of 2 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's and that fifth spot again is a big question mark. So I don't think it's too harsh. I think we're talking two different. I'm talking everything goes A-OK, perfect plan. Chris Shula knocks it out of the park. Giff Smith is a fantastic coach, and all these guys really step up to the plate. Now, coming out of the OTAs, everybody's super excited about Jared Verse. They say he is as advertised.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's still talking about Kobe Turner. There's lots of conversation around how good he can be. But the big question mark there was Braden Fisk coming out of OTAs. There wasn't a lot of chatter. There wasn't a lot of praise. They're never going to say anything negative, but there wasn't kind of like a, wow, he's just really knocking it out of the park. So that's the guy I want to see in training camp. Is he out there for all of the reps? Is he, or are they kind of backed into a corner and they're playing Michael Hoyt and Bobby Brown and rotating those three guys in and out?
So let me ask that before we move on to linebacker. With what they gave up to get him, and I think that's an overstated position point that a lot of national media has, because if you like the player, you just go get him, and I think we both like the player. But with what they gave up to get him, if he is unable to secure a starting spot or at least a rotational spot with double-digit reps per game, does that concern you? Like if we're seeing Laurel Murchison, Deshaun Johnson, like if those are the guys that are getting kind of starting reps alongside Bobby Brown, is that concerning, or is it just a guy in Fisk that just needed a year more to like develop into like a true NFL catalyst?
You gotta. The big question is, what timeline are we on here?
Yeah,
are we a Super Bowl team in 2024 and 2025? And this it goes back to this old conversation we've been kind of having. It's evolved, but Sean McVay, what's his timeline? And the Matthew Stafford timeline. These things have to come together within that timeline. Whatever Matthew Stafford's timeline is, 2-3 years, we're going to see this contract situation getting worked out over the next weeks. So I think knowing that Stafford specifically is on a limited timeline, he's got to be getting 40-50% at the bare minimum of snaps in any given game.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's not like it's a rookie, right? Every rookie matures at a different level. Some are ready right away. Some take a year, you think they're a bust, and then all of a sudden they're great. I mean, look at Jared Goff. After 1 year, we thought he was a bust. Sean McVay comes to town, and then Jared Goff is seemingly a top 10 quarterback the rest of his kind of career up until now. So it would not be, for me, I wouldn't be concerned about Fisk taking longer to develop. I would be concerned just about the trajectory now of this team and this defense if these guys that they're banking on that are young do not develop at a quicker speed. I don't think it's bad for the long term, but they're banking a lot on this season going well, on players developing very quickly. And so if that doesn't happen at that timeline, then this season I'd be concerned about. But long term, every rookie is going to take their own timeline, and you can't rush certain things. So, by the way, I hate when I don't check my background before recording, and then I see things like I just got a freaking laundry detergent behind me that I didn't take down. So those watching on our
kind of looks like a gas can back there.
Yeah, just pouring gas on this, I guess. So, but anyway, I always hate that when I look. I'm like, well, why not just check my surroundings first? But anything, any other gas you want to fuel the fire of this defensive line talk, or moving on? See what I did there?
Yeah, no, I love that. No, I think we covered all of that positions, and it makes me think about like that the philosophy that Les Snead always talks about it, which is thinking in bets. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you're gambling and you make a whole bunch of bets all at the same time, you can hedge your bets. You can, reduce your losses by placing certain bets, but they're placing a lot of bets this year on this defense,
Yeah.
and not all of them are going to pay out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's hope they do, but it
it's
doesn't
just
work
the
like that.
reality of the situation. They're going to lose some of these bets, and particularly at the defensive line, I that's where those are the biggest bets to me, just because it's a first rounder and a second rounder with all that extra draft capital to trade up and get them. They got to hit at the defensive line. That's my top priority, are those four guys specifically.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, I love the ceiling. So let's see it happen. So what do you guys think? Obviously, let us know. You can comment below, hit us up on Twitter at Ryan Dyer LAFB, at RL Anderson LAFB. Skinny T's got the D line at 11. I've got him at, I'll just pick a number. I'll say 21. I know I said between 18 and 22. So I'll say 21. What do you guys think? Where do you put the D line? All right. Linebacker, Ernest Jones. Me and you love Ernest Jones. So I'm really curious where you have him slotted. So I'll let you go first. Where are you putting Ernest Jones?
I put him at number 6, and I did factor in the depth behind him and around him as well, because we saw what it looked like when he wasn't able to play in that Green Bay game. Wasn't great. So I have them behind the Jets, the Niners, the Giants, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. I put them behind the Chiefs just because I really like the Chiefs like trio of guys that they have there at the position. They lost Willie Gay, but they've got Nick Bolton and Leo Chenal and Drew Tranquil. Drew Tranquil's not a fantastic player, but as your third linebacker, it's a really solid unit. But I'm one of the biggest Ernest Jones fans in the world. I think just fantastic. 2 missed tackles all of last year. Just with the way he was asked to play last year, all over the place. So he was making plays all over the place, and they struggled all year with missed tackles, and he was kind of that stalwart that was keeping things in check for them. Didn't really rush the passer in his first couple of years. This year they were struggling getting pressure on quarterbacks. They asked him to do another thing, and he rose to the challenge. And that's the kind of thing I love to see, where a guy can pivot and adjust and do whatever the team asks of him. And he's been doing that ever since he got there. He was not expected to be a starter his first season, his rookie season. Stepped up to the plate, 6, 8 weeks in, something like that. Just, I can't say enough good things about this guy, and he's so underrated, and they're slow rolling his contract extension. And I don't like that. that's where I'll end that.
Don't like it one bit. Totally agree. So you said 7?
Number 6.
6. Okay. So I have him. I did more. Why did we talk? I did more just specifically Jones. I didn't even consider the rest of the room really. So I did, and this is in no particular order, but I had Fred Warner. These are who are ahead of him. Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, CJ Mosley, Demario Davis, Levante David, Patrick Queen, Jeremiah Owusu Koromora, and then Ernest Jones. What is that? 8? Did I count 7 before him? I think
sounds right.
Yeah. So I wrote down the names and didn't put numbers. I was an idiot in doing that. But yeah, so 8th, Ernest Jones. And I love her. And here's the thing with Ernest Jones, purely as a old school smash mouth linebacker, I might put him 2. I mean, absolute great in run defense. Tackling machine, led all linebackers, as you alluded to, in pass rushing. He had 37 pressures, led all linebackers in that stat when they asked him to do more. I mean, when they do those stunts with him coming through the middle, it was almost unstoppable every game. And you were like, come on, blitz Jones. What are we doing? Blitz Jones, blitz him even more. It was always working. Where he falters a little bit is in pass coverage. He's not the best pass coverage. I believe is not the PFF is everything. I think he had a 57 grade in pass coverage. But he was one of the top in run coverage. And I just think what he means to the defense, his leadership, how well he calls the defense, makes up for a lot of that. Can he improve in that area? Of course, you want to have a linebacker that you can have silent and silent and cover the backs, scat backs out of the backfield, or be able to take away a tight end if need be. But But that is why I have him at 8, probably not higher, is mainly for the pass coverage. But I think he's just one of the bright young linebackers in this game. I mean, dude, I was looking through like different like rankings, like PFF has him at like 30. Like that is
Yeah.
like blasphemous to see him there. So, I mean, to me, top 10 is a no brainer. Wherever you put him in the top 10, I think is like fair. So you have him 6, I have him 8. Love Ernest Jones.
It's funny with a lot of the rankings that I was kind of checking myself on when ranking the defense is the kind of the written portion of the ranking was like, we don't have anything bad to say about that, but we're not going to rank him high.
He's 30th. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He was great. Let all linebackers in this stat, like did this, 30th.
Yeah. And you mentioned his leadership, and when we sat down with Quentin Lake at Super Bowl Radio Row this year, I asked him specifically who are the guys that stepped up in that very young defense as the vocal leaders, and unequivocally he just pointed right to Ernest Jones. You know, in the middle linebacker has always been the kind of the communicator and the leader in the past, but you know, this is just another feather in his cap, I guess, as to why he's great.
Yeah, and everything we said about the D line, how young they are, and you know, the high ceiling, but a lot of prove. Like a lot of that's going to rest on Ernest Jones, and not only in his play of how he plays the second level, if there's any mistakes that happen on that front line, but in his leadership and you know, calling the plays. Like if he's wearing the green dot, as we suspect he will again, like how he's able to get his guys in position, and you know, you're going to have rookies out there, and how he's really being the quarterback of that defense will really be important for how this defense improves week over week. With its youth. So yeah, Ernest Jones, top 10, 30th. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Get out of here with that.
Blasphemous. All right, on to the secondary. So some new additions. This is a polarizing group because I think very high ceiling. If you get the talent, the great talent out of, you know, Cameron Curl, obviously, I think was a really good acquisition. You know, if Darius Williams they brought back, if he has a year like he did last year with Jacksonville, if you get Tre'Davious White being healthy, all pro caliber Tre'Davious White, like this could be a really good unit. But then you also have a floor of like none of that could go their way, and this could be a disastrous unit. So where do you have them on that spectrum of good or great or disastrous?
Again, I'm voting ceiling instead of floor, because if the floor falls out from this, the floor is so low.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tre'Davious White can't find, you know, that healthy play style that he had in the past, that all pro play that he had in the past, who's this Darius Williams that was like just like a crazy producer, 5'9" on the outside, just tearing it up, intercepting tons of passes and all these PBUs. Fantastic. I'd love to see that, but like you see it 1 year, you never know.
Yeah.
You know, so floor's super low, but the ceiling, as you were saying, is high. So I'm going with ceiling. I'm going to put him at 11th. I'm sticking just outside the top 10.
Okay.
So I have Jets, Niners, Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Browns, Seahawks, Packers, Bucks, Cowboys, and Broncos ahead of them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am with the secondary. You know, let's talk about, you know, what are the things that are kind of set in stone here? Nothing. You know, like this whole everything's really kind of moving around right now. Will Quentin Lake be the nickel corner? The safeties, they just added re-added John Johnson the third once again, who's, you know, you look at kind of what Russ Yeast and Cam Curl bring. They're more of those guys that play up close to the line of scrimmage, whereas John Johnson and they have another piece there that I can't think of. Maybe Quentin Lake I'm thinking of, but you know, that can play deep. You know, so they're I don't know if they're going to be playing this kind of star, you know, nickel defense as much as they have in the past. So, you know, it's all changing. So, I mean, you know, it's really hard to talk about it when you just have no clue of any kind of the cemented things. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to take the probably cop out, and I'm going to put them right at 15. I mean, I know middle technically is 16, but I'll put them one above being dead middle, if you will. So on the plus side of middle, because I agree, the ceiling I think can be so great when you look at as of now, July, what are we, 9th? July 9th, a week and a half or so till training camp. Like, I would slot the starters right now as probably Darius Williams and Tre'Davious White as your two outside corners. Cameron Curl, John Johnson as probably your two starting safeties, with Quentin Lake as your starting nickel, and then you could see outside of nickel, if you just have a slot corner, is that Kobe Durant or is that Trey Tomlinson? Debate, go from there. Again, if you get Tre'Davious White like we saw 4 years ago, whatever it was, I mean, that looks like the absolute signing of the century, and you have a absolute lockdown all pro corner with a very, very good Darius Williams, with a strong Cam Curl, with the vet leader in John Johnson, and then a bevy of young talent in Cameron Kinchins, who they drafted, Russ East, as you mentioned, Trey Tomlinson, that we didn't see much last year, Kobe Durant, that showed sparingly at times, and even Darian Kendrick, who was like your real roller coaster. Sometimes looks great, sometimes looks awful. If he can be consistent, just take less of a heartbeat and just do more of a dead straight line, you got some good stuff there. But you have that heartbeat in this secondary. That's not just Darian Kendrick. We saw it from the likes of even the other guys as well. So that's why I think 15 for me to start is just with this entire defense. Our theme last year was better than expected. I think our theme this year is, I don't know what the hell to expect. Like, there, or maybe just no expectation. Like, I don't really know what to expect with this defense, because there's just so much unknown at every single level. I don't think they're going to be terrible. I don't think they're going to be great. Like, maybe they will, but I don't think they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be right in that kind of middle of the road, serviceable secondary, that as these young guys progress, if Cameron Kinchins can be like he was with Miami 2 years ago, Miami Hurricanes, that is, and not last year, they got a steal in the third round in Cameron Kinchins. If Tre'Davious White gets back to form, they got a steal. If Darius Williams stays on par with what he was the last year or so, they got a steal. If John Johnson can play anywhere remotely at his age like he has the last years, they got a steal. But if all those are the end result or the floor result, then this thing is going to look very, very different. And what of this defense is actually going to hold them together?
Yeah, I mean, it's all great points. I mean, it's like what I was saying about the bets. There's so many bets in the secondary right now, and if we're comparing it to last year and how much we were surprised by how well they performed, and they still didn't end in the top half of the league in terms of different metrics and different ways to look at the defense. Where do you think they fall kind of this year? Because they really only have to be good enough to support the offense. What I didn't say the last episode, what I wanted to say about the offense was, we kind of ranked every group in kind of that 3 to 5, except for the tight ends. We kind of ranked them a little bit lower. But you put all that together and it's greater than the sum of its parts. That's going to be it's going to be in the top 5 offenses for sure. They're going to be really great. This one, it's it almost feels like it's the opposite, where you put all these together and I don't know if it's going to be as good or worse than last year. So I think they're going to kind of fall probably in the same range, which is going to be, as I'm going to say, is good enough.
Yeah. With the improvements they made on offense, that's all they need to be. If they can get even close to what they were last year, which is saying a lot, but if they can get to that, then yeah, this team is a playoff team. So they just can't be a disaster, basically.
Yeah.
They can't be the USC Trojans of 2023, 116th ranked, giving up 38 points per game or whatever. It can't be that.
No, definitely not. Absolutely.
Yeah. So after watching USC Trojans defense last year at every game, like I covered them, the Rams defense was just a joy to watch, because at least they were flying around. They were trying. Yeah, they made mistakes, but they were like, they were playing out there, and there was fundamentals. They were at least impacted. As long as they can play fundamentally sound football, tackle good, like, this defense is going to be middle of the pack defense overall.
Yeah, they just need to get some pressure on the quarterback and have a couple of secondary guys fill in.
Ernest Jones, maybe just blitz every play. What's Coach Yost saying? Remember the Titans? We will blitz all night. Make them remember the day they played Ernest Jones. Like, that's what they need to do every game, and we'll be all right.
I love it.
Oh, so, all right. Anything else to add on these rankings, or do we end with a Coach Yost quote from Remember the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's got a better read on this than us, let us know.
Yeah. I know. I've seen like, I think over from what I've seen on like Twitter and social, like most people are very high on the team, which is great. Fans should be high on their team. And why wouldn't you be with the Rams? The Rams have made great moves since Snead and McVay have been here. So there's no reason to really doubt them. But yeah, I'm curious if people will view us as too, not negative, but not thinking highly enough, or if maybe fans even agree that's their kind of where they sit. They're just still excited about it because there's a lot of youth and a lot of new things coming. So yeah, let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, let us know where you stand. Are you more on my side thinking ceiling or more on Ryan's side thinking more realistically?
Which usually it's the opposite. Usually we role reversed for this one, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I always have a hard time with these rankings because
Yeah, especially in July.
everybody's got new players, everybody's got question marks, and we just pay so close attention to this team that you know, looking at other teams, it's like, well, they got proven commodities.
Yeah,
They got things right there on their roster already, and it just
yeah,
feels like across the board, except for Ernest Jones. I could put a question mark next to everybody's name, going, well, what about this? And what about that? And can they make this happen? Are they going to make the leap? Are they going to be consistent? So that's just kind of my thought process around it before anybody crucifies us.
yeah. Well, and I think, and last thing I'll say, and again, hopefully the pitchforks don't come out for this comment in the show, but when you look at the defense of side, and because again, take the draft out. The draft Rams, I think, did a great draft, but it's rookies. Like you can't just say like this guy's gonna be great. We hope they are. We like what they did. We like how they fit. Whatever. But you can't just say in July like, okay, yeah, that guy's gonna be a 12 and a half sack guy as a rookie. Like you just can't do that.
Yeah.
So when you look at free agency, even though we loved the Curl signing, we loved the flyer on Tre'Davious White, we loved bringing Darius Williams back. Like these are all good moves. But when you look across the league in free agency, the Rams did not have one defensive signing that was like, okay, there's a bona fide starter they just signed. Like they just brought in a guy that was a L'Jarius Sneed from, who's now with Tennessee.
Yeah.
Which I know that wasn't that like a sign and trade or something. I don't know. Now
Yeah.
all my years are blending together, but there wasn't a guy like that. Like, okay, there's a lockdown guy. There's a 15 sack guy that they signed. Like there was none of that. They brought in Cameron Curl, who I think had a really good year, former 7th round pick, overplayed his draft stock. They were able to get him on a pretty good 2-year deal. And as a guy that can come in and start and be a good player, but he's not just like, okay, boom, Pro Bowler right there. He could become one. Tre'Davious White, obviously the injuries. Like there wasn't a single player where you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. They're set there. Left corner is set. Like, don't worry about that. It's done.
Yeah.
There isn't that on this defense outside of Ernest Jones.
Yeah. And, I'm starting to look at this team as like those 2017, 2018 teams where, they did add, pieces here and there, but really the defense didn't really change dramatically until they added that lockdown corner and Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
And then, looking at this year of free agency, there were guys like Brian Burns, who's now on a new team.
Yeah.
He's on the Giants. Daniil Hunter, he's now with the Texans, which is a scary unit.
Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed, you already mentioned. There were names out there up for the grabs.
Yeah, Stimmons still out there.
It's still out there. Yeah. So those things were left us scratching our heads, saying, why not get a proven NFL commodity that's going to get you, double digit sacks, so.
Yeah. And the Rams could be playing it this way too, is like, all right, we like these moves. We went heavy on offense. We added, we players that we believe will have a high impact right away in the 3 that we've keep mentioning. But we know we're not going to be shy if we're playoff ready and our team's playing well, but we're missing one piece when it comes trade deadline. We'll get the best player this year. Don't forget about last year and paying too much money for a proven guy in free agency. We'll just go get him in October before the trade deadline and add him to our team for the final stretch for the Super Bowl run. So knowing them, that's a way they think too. Is like, okay, we won't overspend in free agency. We'll just overspend at the trade deadline and get rid of our first round picks again, but go get the best corner in football of the 24 season to come help us make a run. Like that could be a way that they're thinking too.
Yeah, we should just be happy that they drafted defense, because you and I were both convinced they're going to go offensive line or something, or go get Brock Bowers.
Yeah, which they almost did.
They wanted it.
Wanted him.
It's on tape.
Wanted him. So, well, good stuff. good debate. So yeah, so I think when you combine all of our rankings, it has them probably right around that 13 to 16 range.
That'd be great. If they're the 16th ranked defense, that's a win.
Home run. It's a playoff team. That's all you can ask for with all the turnover on the defensive side. So let us know what you guys think. If you follow us on YouTube, if you don't, please go do that right now. Hit that like and subscribe. It's Rams LAFB, space in between, but I'm sure if you just type Rams LAFB, you'll find it.
Skinny T. If you search Skinny T, you'll get there.
That's a dangerous search.
No.
I don't know.
No, okay. Ram Skinny. If you search Ram Skinny, don't search Skinny T. Yeah. There's a Skinny T rapper out there.
Is there?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Is he a social media disruptor?
You know he is.
He's got to be.
He's got to be.
Yeah. DJ Skinny T. Okay. Yeah. Rams LAFB on YouTube. LAFB Network is our website. LAFB Network on every social. Rams LAFB is our Rams specific on every social. We're easy to find at RL Anderson LAFB or at Ryan Dyrud LAFB. Thank you as always, guys, for tuning in. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next week. 2 episodes next week, back to our normally scheduled program because we are ramping up as we get into training camp starting the following week. Football will be back. Loyola Marymount, nice and small confines. We can all hang out and rub shoulders in the
tickets are all sold out. So you're SOL if you want to get into those.
Yeah.
They sold out in one day.
Yeah. I mean, they only had probably not many. I mean, it's a small area as we talked about. So bring your binoculars and go try to find a palm tree where you can scope out. But for Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dowd. Thank you all. Have a blessed weekend. Talk to you next week.